If you want insane deals on legit PC keys from great developers, use my Fanatical link down below and start saving yourself some money. Hell Let Loose is one of those games where I'm so conflicted on the inside with how I feel about it that I have to make a video discussing everything that I'm seeing about the progress of this game, some of the developer decisions that have been made in the core design choices of this game. If you guys don't know what Hell Let Loose is, it's a World War II shooter being made by Black Matter. I have covered it on the channel a few times in the past. I was an original Kickstarter backer of the game. As soon as I saw it, I saw the look of it, the vision they were going for. It reminded me a little bit of Squad mixed with a little bit of Postscriptum, but it was doing its own thing. And this weekend, they are doing a closed beta test for all of the Kickstarter backers, all the people who were here with them from the very beginning, and they wanted us to showcase the game. If we are streamers, stream it. If we're content creators, make content about it. And I was playing it yesterday, and I played it today as well, and I have to say, there are a lot of things about this game that I actually really enjoy. We're going to get into that in a bit. There are a lot of things about this game that actually have me questioning if the developers have actually played the game enough to test some of these features. And I hate this. I hate being in this spot because I like the developers. I don't want to make this video about fuck the developers. That's not what this video is. This video is an actual questioning of why some of these things exist. Let's just get into it. This game has so much fucking potential. Running around, looking at the visual changes that they have made since I played it in the alpha last year, this game looks so good. It's beautiful. The lush forest, the effects on the explosions, the game itself looks great. The character models, when I'm running up to somebody and I look to the right and they're just sitting there and they're looking at me, it looks pretty good. The weapon models, for the most part, look really good. Tanks running around, everything is just looking pretty crisp. And then on the flip side of that, to go along with that visual gameplay, the sound design is just so lacking to me. When I heard the sounds in the trailer and you could hear like the tanks crackling over the bridge and then switching over to the dirt, the explosions and the gunshots, it doesn't really sound like that when I play the game. Now, I don't know what is going on there, but when I'm shooting the SMG or when I'm firing in the M1 Garand, and it just does not sound, it sounds like I'm shooting a pea shooter. It sounds like a little bit like World War III in terms of their sound design. It's almost like there's no bass. It's like and to me, it just sounds like I'm shooting very weak weaponry. And when I'm talking about this game looks gritty, dirty, this is World War II, like Saving Private Ryan levels of grit, and then the guns just don't sound like they're there yet. Now, like I said, this is a closed beta, so all of this stuff is subject to change. But I was actually pretty underwhelmed with the gunplay. I heard it on stream a couple times. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. But then when you get into it yourself, it's just not there. It's lacking. Now, the game mode itself is almost like a sector control. You have 3 lanes, your top, mid, bottom. It kind of reminds me of like a MOBA in a sense, only it's just straight. There's no towers. It's just all about controlling the sector, moving on, gaining resources from controlling that sector, which allows you to respawn tanks. It just basically gives you a whole bunch of supplies that you can use to then further along the game and keep your team in an advantageous position. You just basically move on. I find that every game I play, you have squads that will go and take the top, mid, and bottom, and that's just how they roll. If you see a squad kind of losing on one of the sides, you can then jump and I guess you'd say jungle through and try to give them a hand. The game mode for the most part is pretty interesting. The sectors are pretty big, and one thing I do find is when I'm attacking a sector that we have lost, we don't really know where the enemy has come from to take this large sector. So you get in and it says, okay, yeah, you're losing this point, but you don't really know the flow of the area. And when you're looking through dense forests and so many trees around trying to figure out where they actually are, it actually gets super fucking frustrating to try and figure out the flow of what area you've gone in. It's not like Squad where you can kind of predict based on their last point. You have squads running left, right, right and center here, trying to basically just capture different points on the map, it gets really tough to kind of decipher what way you have to be looking. And I guess maybe that's what they were trying to go for, and that's what the basis of this video is going to be. I have a lot of questions about some of the design choices, and it's going to be down to the core. If I were to just take this game and tell you about performance, tell you about optimization, visual, gameplay, I will say all four of those things are actually really good. I think the game runs very well. I think that the network performance needs some work. I saw some tanks janking around, some of the lag on the grenades throwing, so you can tell that they're definitely straining the network bringing this many people in, but that's a beta. That's typical beta stuff. I don't think it actually hindered my gameplay experience all that much. When you jump in a tank and it starts janking around, it's kind of hard to look at, but other than that, I thought that the game ran pretty smooth. Graphically, amazing. I think the map that they've created here, phenomenal. My biggest problem with Hell Let Loose is the choices that they have made in terms of your loadout. When I'm playing as a rifleman and I have to advance on a position and all I have is 2 frags in my gun, it gets kind of frustrating because I see smoke grenades going on and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, we're gonna try. But wait, how do I get smoke grenades as a rifleman, somebody who's going to be on the front lines trying to advance positions? And then you realize that the only people who can get smoke grenades are medics. And then you think, well, okay, maybe they decided to do that so that a medic could throw it down, heal a teammate, and try to get him out of you know, hell's way. And then you realize that the medic only has a pistol when you go and use that class, making it almost fucking impossible to do anything. If your riflemen aren't on point, they can't be on point because they're getting shot, sniped from God knows where with no protection. And then you realize that you have a tank crew, people who run the armor, a squad size of 6 players, and a tank that only fits 3. And then you try to look around for another tank and they're all gone because the tanks spawn all over the 3 HQs and it's all based on, you know, your resources and stuff, capturing points. And you realize that some people in your crewmen aren't going to be in the tank, so they have to follow the tank as it moves through the battlefield, which, okay, that makes sense until you realize that the tank crewman, which is the only class to choose outside of the commander, but you can only have 1 commander, so 5 people have to be crewmen. Chances are 3 of them are going to be sitting out of the tank. And you realize that they only have pistols, a pistol and a bandage as a tank crewman. And then I start to wonder, like, what is with the limited fucking loadouts? As a rifleman, you have an M1 Garand. You understand. You got a grenade, you got your bandage, you got your gun. Okay, sure. Automatic rifleman, you got your gun, you have a grenade, and you have your bandage. As a medic, you have your healing shit, a smoke grenade, and a pistol. Not even an SMG, just nothing. And when you realize the way that they've designed this beautifully looking map, it has an advantage to people who are sniping, the recon classes. And then you realize that as a tank crewman, you're useless. Unless you get inside the tank in the first 5 seconds of spawning in, chances are you're going to be fucked. And it's these limiting design choices that I actually it just has me scratching my head, because I always try to look at something that the developers have put in here and try to be like, try to justify it. From a developer point of view, why are you limiting that class? Is it for a balancing reason? But the tank crewman threw me over the edge, because I tried to jump around and play different classes, and that one blew my mind. The fact that a tank can only fit 3, but you have a squad size of 6. So you were essentially killing half your squad, because what am I going to do with no smoke grenades, no nothing? Now I have to just hope that the tank survives, and then if it doesn't, well, shit. And then on top of all that, the game at this point is just severely underdeveloped. They don't have like vaulting. Their microphone like voiceover system just doesn't work half the time. I had a fuck of a time trying to communicate with my squad because it just wouldn't pick up my mic. The push to talk just stopped working. I know they came out and said they were having trouble with their voiceover and stuff like that, but the good thing about that is they're not selling this game yet. The game is still in an actual beta, so that stuff doesn't really bother me. But it's at this point early on that I really need to start asking the questions as to to why are we limiting loadouts to the point where you are just hindering players' experience. You're hindering the fun factor at this point in an attempt to be realistic. I don't even think that's realistic. I don't know much about World War II, but I can't imagine people were just walking around pistols only. Like, what is this, a fucking paintball match in SOCOM? All I can ask is that the developers, you know, maybe detail why you guys are limiting the loadouts the way you are, because in my opinion, the game is just not fun to play at this moment in time. I really like the gameplay. I think the gameplay is stellar. But when you're running around pistols only, or you don't have smokes to kind of protect yourself from holding a point, it just starts to wear on you a little bit. You feel like the utility that you have as a player is useless. And maybe that's just because I'm used to playing games like Insurgency or Squad, that I come to something like this and it's not there. So I would love for the developers to detail why they're doing the things that they're doing. Other than that, I think this game has a lot of potential, and if the developers look at that, and you know what, who knows, at the end of the day, this shit just might be a glitch. Maybe weapons just aren't loading in the loadouts. That's why I'm not sitting here going right off, because we still have a long way to go before I think this game is going to hit either early access or launch. And that's why at this point, because they're not selling it outside of their original Kickstarter and they're still developing the game, I can't really shit on the developers, and I don't want to shit on the developers. But I do need to start asking those questions, because if it keeps going like this, I think they're going to take a lot of heat for these decisions once the game hits market. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys played Hell Let Loose on the weekend, let me know what you guys think of it. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you like the way that they're running the different loadouts and all that stuff. I want to hear about it. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do. We're shooting for 100,000 subscribers. We're going to get it soon. And if you guys haven't jumped on this train, why the fuck haven't you? My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.